No LSAT score is too low to prevent you from going to a law school. You can get in and you can borrow the money. The lower the LSAT, the less likely you are to pass the bar exam. And so you have a lot of students who are not qualified, who should not be considering law school.
The idea came from a magazine article that I read 3 years ago in The Atlantic. I had never heard of a for-profit law school that can be bought and sold between investors. I was not really aware of the student debt crisis. And suddenly there was this expose about these for-profit law schools and how the student debt was fueling these institutions, and I thought, this smells bad. That research led to other articles, and before long I had a novel. They appealed to kids who probably could not get into a real nonprofit school or a state school or a private college, and they're sort of seduced into the notion of borrowing huge sums of money and giving that money to the for-profit law schools so someone can get really rich off of it, getting an education that might not be that good, having trouble finding jobs, and facing an uphill battle to pass the bar exam. I mean, these debts are so burdensome, they cannot be discharged in bankruptcy. We're up to 1.5 trillion in student debt. 44 million students carry it. Half are probably in default, and those who are managing to service it are still burdened by it. They can't do a lot of things that they want to do, start families, buy homes, buy cars, invest. It's very difficult to do with this debt. There's a day of reckoning coming with all this debt and students who are unable to pay it. Since there was no debt, we walked out of college and law school with no debt. And looking back, it was a huge factor. We didn't realize we were debt-free because nobody had debts back then. How much a kid had to borrow to go to school, it was never talked about. I'm not sure I would have gone to law school. It would have had a huge impact on my career, because if I had not been a lawyer, I would never have written the first book. Writing was not a childhood dream. It was not something I studied in college. And I was 30 years old before I started writing the first book, 35 when I got it published. It just came later in life, and it was inspired by something that happened in my legal career, something I saw one day in a courtroom. And I thought, I'm going to try to capture that story. And that led to this, that led to the career.